Now next come to the thoracic wall. So as we discussed, the thoracic wall that is formed posteriorly by the thoracic part of the vertebral column, anteriorly by the sternum, and laterally by the ribs and their costal cartilage and their intercostal spaces. So the floor of the thorax that formed by the diaphragm and the roof that formed by the suprapleural membrane or Simpson fascia. So this is the bony framework of the thorax. Come to the bony landmark. So here anteriorly sternum have manubrium, body of sternum and xiphoid process. The upper border of the manubrium, this is known as suprasternal notch or jugular notch that lie at the level of T2 and T3 vertebra. Second, 5 cm below this suprasternal notch, this upper border is known as suprasternal notch or jugular notch. 5 cm below their sternal angle, it is felt as a transverse ridge about 5 cm below the suprasternal notch, and it lie at the level of T4 and the T5 vertebrae, and it form a 163-degree angle posteriorly. Second rib articulate at the level of sternal angle. So this is the landmark where we can count the ribs. The body of sternum attached to the xiphoid process by the xiphi-sternal joint. It is lie at the level of upper border of T9, xiphi-sternal joint. Now the costal margin. The costal margin that formed by the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th and 12th ribs. Subcostal angle. This subcostal angle is situated at the inferior end of the sternum. Between the attachment of the costal margin here, this is like subcostal angle. Then behind, posteriorly in this picture, there is a thoracic spine and the scapula that lie from T2 to T7. At the level of the root of spine of scapula, it lie at the level of the spine of third thoracic vertebrae, and the inferior angle lie at the level of the spine of seventh thoracic vertebrae. Now come to the line of orientations. There is a mid-sternal line. This is a mid-sternal line that runs vertically downward in the medial plane in the anterior aspect of sternum. One is a mid-clavicular line. This is a mid-clavicular line. This extends vertically down from midpoint of clavicle to the tip of ninth costal cartilage and mid-inguinal point. These 3 points together form the mid-clavicular line. And behind there is a mid-scapular line that vertically downward on the posterior aspect of the chest, passing through the inferior angle of scapula. So there are 12 pair of rib on each side. True rib 1 to 7, that is a true rib or vertebrosternal rib. Behind they articulate with the body of vertebra and anteriorly by the sternum through the costal cartilage. And lower 5 rib, that is a false rib, in which 8th, 9th and 10th that articulate with each other, that is a vertebrochondral rib, and 11th and 12th that confine only in posterior part, that is a floating ribs or vertebral ribs. Now ribs, what is the anatomy of the rib? Ribs have head, posteriorly head that contain facet that articulate with the body of vertebra to form the costovertebral joint. There is a neck, and anterior to the neck there is a tubercle that articulate with the transverse process of vertebra to form the costotransverse joint. And 5 cm anterior to the tubercle there is an angle where rib change its curvature. It's the angle part. And on the shaft of the rib there is an upper border having outer and inner lip, and along the lower border there is a costal groove. There is a costal groove in which neurovascular structure runs. So this is the anatomy of the rib. Now come to the intercostal spaces, the space between the two adjacent rib. This is the first rib, this one is the second rib, and between the adjacent rib and their costal cartilage, this space is known as intercostal space. So there are 12 pair of rib on each side, but 11th and 12th rib not reach anteriorly. So anteriorly only 9 intercostal space, and posteriorly there is 11 intercostal spaces are present, and in which typical intercostal space is third to sixth space, because nerve supply of this space is confined only to the thorax. Now intercostal spaces anteriorly 9 and behind 11 or 11 posterior. Each space contain intercostal muscle. It include external, internal and transverse thoraces. 3 layer of muscle, intercostal nerve, intercostal vessels that contain intercostal artery anterior and posterior, and the intercostal vein that is anterior and the posterior. So here in this picture, this one is the first rib and second rib, and this is the intercostal space, and this intercostal space contain muscles, neurovascular structures. Anteriorly there are 9 intercostal space, and behind there is 11 intercostal space. This is 11th and 12th rib that confined only in the posterior part. So intercostal muscles have 3 layer: superficial, intermediate and the deep layer. Superficial layer, that is the external intercostal muscle. In the intermediate layer there is internal intercostal and the transverse thoracic muscle that lie in the deep layer. And transverse thoracic muscles have 3 types: intercostalis intimus muscle that confined only middle to fourth of the intercostal spaces. One is a subcostalis muscle that lie in the lower spaces only, posterior part of the lower spaces only, and sternocostalis that confined in the anterior part of the upper spaces only. So sternocostalis lie in the anterior part of upper space only, subcostalis lie in the posterior part of lower spaces only, and intercostalis intimus that confined to the middle to fourth of the all intercostal spaces. These 3 muscles are the part of transverse thoracic muscle. Now here in this diagram, this is the external intercostal muscle, that is a superficial layer. Second, intermediate layer, that is the internal intercostal muscles, and in the deep layer, that is a transverse thoracic, have 3 parts. Anteriorly this is a sternocostalis muscle. In the middle to fourth there is intercostalis intimus muscle, and behind there is a subcostalis muscle. So first come to the external intercostal muscles. So the external intercostal muscles, here the superficial layer is formed by the external intercostal muscle. This external intercostal muscle extend from the tubercle of rib behind to the costochondral junction, and where it replaced by the external intercostal membrane. So it extend from the behind tubercle of the rib till the costochondral junction, where it replaced by the external intercostal membrane. Now the origin from the lower border of the rib above, and insertion into the outer lip of the upper border of the rib below. What is the direction of the fibers? Directed downward and forward. The fiber is directed downward and forward. And what is the action? It elevates the rib during the inspiration along with the interchondral part of internal intercostal muscle. Second layer, that is the internal intercostal muscle. This extend from the internal intercostal muscle that extend from lateral of the sternum, we can see here, lateral to the sternum to the angle of rib. It is an intermediate layer. This internal intercostal muscle is the intermediate or second layer that extend from the lateral border of sternum till the angle of the rib, where it replaced by the posterior intercostal membrane. So, second intermediate layer that is formed by the internal intercostal muscle that extend from the lateral border of sternum till the angle of the rib, where it replaced by the posterior intercostal membrane. What is the origin and insertion? It arise from the floor of the costal groove and fiber insertion in the inner lip of the upper border of the rib below. Fibers are directed downward and backward. Its fiber are directed downward and backward, right angle to the fiber of external intercostal muscle. What is the action? Interchondral part between the cartilage part. Interchondral part of the internal intercostal muscle elevate the ribs along with the external intercostal muscle during inspiration. But interosseous part of this internal intercostal muscle depress the rib now in this diagram. There is an internal intercostal muscle that extend from the lateral border of the sternum up to the angle of the rib, where it replaced by the internal intercostal membrane. Interchondral part along with the external intercostal muscle help in the elevation of the rib, and interosseous part help in the depression of the rib. Now intercostal intimus muscle that confine to the middle 2/4 of the all intercostal spaces. The fiber of this intercostalis intimus muscle arise from the inner surface of rib above, insertion into the inner surface of rib below. Direction of fiber that is downward and laterally, and it help in the elevation of the rib during expiration. Subcostalis muscle, that is a thin band of muscle fiber that mainly in the posterior part of lower 6 spaces, origin from the inner surface and lower border of rib above, and insertion into the upper border of the 2 to 3 rib below. Sternocostalis muscle that confine into anterior part of upper intercostal spaces. This is a sternocostalis slips of the sternocostalis muscle. Origin from the lower 1/3 of the body of posterior surface of the body of sternum and posterior surface of the xiphoid process and the posterior surface of costal cartilage of lower 3 or 4 true ribs. Then fiber directed upward and laterally, and insertion into the costal cartilage of 2nd to 6th rib. So intercostal spaces from outer to inner superficial layer it formed by the external intercostal muscle, intermediate by the internal intercostal muscle, and the deep layer that occupied by the transverse thoracic muscle, having 3 parts: intercostalis intimus, subcostalis, and sternocostalis. Between the intermediate and the deep layer, there is neurovascular bundle lie in the that run into the costal groove of the rib, and it lie between the intermediate and the deep layer. In the order from above to downward, there is a vein, artery, and nerve. Inner to the deep layer, there is endothoracic fascia and the costal pleura. So, neurovascular plane that lie between the intermediate and the deep layer first come to the intercostal nerve. So, there is 12 pair of thoracic spinal nerve that supply the thoracic wall. Anterior rami of 11 thoracic spinal nerve, that is known as intercostal nerve, and anterior primary rami of T12, that is known as subcostal nerve. Typical intercostal nerve, that is 3rd to 6th, and atypical intercostal nerve, that is a 1st, 2nd and 7th to 11th. That is a atypical intercostal. Now in this diagram, this is the thoracic spinal segment where anterior root arise from the anterior horn and the posterior root that from the posterior horn join to form the trunk of the nerve. As soon as they leave the intervertebral foramen, divided into the anterior primary ramus and the dorsal primary ramus that exit posteriorly, and this anterior primary ramus, that is known as intercostal nerve, that connected with the sympathetic ganglion by the gray rami and the white rami. This intercostal nerve run into the costal groove. So now here look for the course of intercostal nerve. This anterior rami, that is intercostal nerve, runs in the costal groove that along the lower border of the rib between the deep and intermediate layer of the intercostal muscle. Here it gives collateral branches, and at the mid axillary line it gives lateral cutaneous branch. This lateral cutaneous branch pierces the intermediate and the superficial layer. Then it divided into the anterior branch and the posterior branch to supply the skin on the lateral thoracic wall. The main trunk of the nerve coats forward, and here it crosses the interthoracic artery superficially. Then it pierces the internal intercostal muscle and the anterior intercostal membrane lateral to the sternum. Here it gives anterior cutaneous branch, that is a terminal branch. It divided into the medial and the lateral branches to supply the skin on the front of thoracic wall. So in this picture, these are the intercostal spaces that occupy by the intercostal muscle and the intercostal nerve. This is the anterior cutaneous branch, and at the mid axillary line these are the lateral cutaneous branches of intercostal nerve. The atypical intercostal nerve are the 1st, 2nd and 7 to 11. First intercostal nerve, this is a greater part of this nerve joined with the ventral ramus of C8 spinal nerve to form the lower trunk of brachial plexus. And the second intercostal nerve, its lateral cutaneous branch, that is also known as intercostobrachial nerve, it coats across the axilla and join with the medial cutaneous branch of the arm, and then it supply the skin of the floor of axilla and upper part of the medial side of the arm. 7 to 11th intercostal nerve, that is the 7 to 11, that is known as thoraco-abdominal nerve, that leave the corresponding intercostal space to enter into the abdominal wall, and they also supply the intercostal muscle, but addition they supply the muscle of the anterior abdominal wall and the skin and parietal peritoneum. So 3rd to 6th intercostal nerve, that is a typical intercostal nerve that confine into the thoracic wall and supply only the structure of intercostal space. But 7 to 11th, they enter into the abdomen and supply the addition to muscle of the anterior abdominal wall. Now come to the site of the eruption of cold abscess on the body wall. The pus formation due to the tuberculosis of thoracic vertebra, that is Both's disease, is tend to track along the neurovascular plane. The neurovascular plane, that is between deep and intermediate layer of intercostal muscles, and the point of there emerge, the point of the pus emerge are the site of the emergence of the cutaneous branches. Like, what is the site? Just lateral to the sternum, where anterior cutaneous branch emerge, at the mid-axillary line, where the lateral cutaneous branch emerge, and the lateral to the erector spinae, where posterior primary ramus exit. So this is the site of the cold abscess. Root pain or girdle pain, irritation of the abscess of the thoracic vertebra, produce severe pain which is referred around the trunk along the cutaneous distribution of the affected nerve. This is known as root pain or girdle pain. Now come to the intercostal arteries. So there are two anterior and one posterior intercostal arteries present in each space. So anterior intercostal artery are two in each spaces. Anteriorly there are 9 intercostal space. Up to the upper 6th intercostal spaces, these two anterior intercostal arteries arises from the internal thoracic artery, and in the lower 3 intercostal spaces, these anterior intercostal arteries arises from the musculophrenic artery. This musculophrenic artery is a branch of internal thoracic artery. So internal thoracic artery itself, it is a branch of the first part of subclavian artery. This internal thoracic artery descend down and give anterior intercostal arteries up to the 6th intercostal spaces. Lower 3 intercostal spaces, the anterior intercostal arteries arise from the musculophrenic artery. Posterior intercostal arteries are one in each 11 spaces. First and the second posterior intercostal artery arise from the superior intercostal arteries, and this superior intercostal artery is a branch of costocervical trunk. So second part of subclavian artery gives costocervical trunk, and its branch is superior intercostal arteries which give first and the second posterior intercostal artery on each side. 3rd to 11 and the subcostal arteries are branches from the descending thoracic aorta. So in each space, the posterior intercostal artery, on the right posterior intercostal artery and the left posterior intercostal artery, right one is longer than the posterior because thoracic aorta lie on the left side. So right posterior intercostal artery passes behind the esophagus, thoracic duct, azygous vein and sympathetic trunk, then run into the intercostal space between vein and nerve from above downward, and then it give collateral branches and anastomose with the anterior intercostal artery at the costochondral junction. Left intercostal artery passes behind the hemiazygous vein and the sympathetic trunk, then enter into the costal groove where it divided into collateral branches that also anastomose with the anterior intercostal arteries. Now, venous drainage of the thoracic wall. So anterior intercostal veins, 2 in each space like the artery. From the 9th, 8th and 7th, here in this red mark is the internal thoracic artery, and along this is the internal thoracic vein. The internal thoracic artery divided into the 6 intercostal space into musculophrenic and superior thoracic. So 7th, 8th and 9th veins, intercostal vein, anterior intercostal vein join the venae comitants that run along the musculophrenic artery. Then 6th, 5th and 4th, these 3 anterior intercostal vein drain into the vena comitant that run along the internal thoracic artery. At the level of fourth intercostal space, these venae comitant join to form the internal thoracic vein that run medial to the internal thoracic artery. So, from the first, second, and third anterior intercostal vein, they drain into the internal thoracic vein. So, 7, 8, 9 drain into the venae comitants that run along the musculophrenic artery. From the fourth, fifth, and sixth drain into the venae comitants that run along the internal thoracic artery, and from the first, second, and third drain into the internal thoracic vein. Now the posterior intercostal vein, that is slight different on the right and the left side. Drainage system is different. First posterior intercostal vein on the right side drain into the right brachiocephalic vein. Second to 12th posterior intercostal vein drain into azygous vein. But second, third, and fourth first form a common trunk, then they drain into the azygous vein. They form right superior intercostal. Second, third, and fourth form the right superior intercostal vein, then they drain into azygous. Fifth to 12th individually drain into the azygous vein. So first drain into the right brachiocephalic, other than 2 to 12 posterior intercostal vein, they drain into azygous vein, but here second, third, and fourth first join to form the right superior intercostal vein, then they drain into azygous. On the left side, first directly drain into the left brachiocephalic, second, third, and fourth again join to form the left superior intercostal vein and drain into the left brachiocephalic vein. Fifth to 8th drain into the accessory hemiazygous, and 9th to 12th posterior intercostal vein drain into the hemiazygous vein. So first directly drain into the left brachiocephalic, second, third, and fourth join to form left superior intercostal vein, then they drain into the left brachiocephalic. Fifth to 8th posterior intercostal vein drain into the accessory hemiazygous, and 9th to 12th they drain into the hemiazygous vein. So this is the venous drainage of the intercostal vein. Now come to the last topic, that is the internal thoracic artery. As we discussed, this internal thoracic artery that arises from the first part of subclavian artery. It arises from the first part 2.5 centimeter above the medial end of the clavicle, and it arises from the inferior aspect of the subclavian artery, just opposite to the origin of thyrocervical trunk. Then this internal thoracic artery descend downward 1 centimeter lateral to the lateral border of sternum up to 6 intercostal space. Then it divided into the musculophrenic and superior epigastric artery. This superior epigastric artery enter into the rectus sheath between the 7 slips of the diaphragm that arise from the xiphoid process and the 7th costal cartilage. It passes between these two slips and enter into the rectus sheath. Musculophrenic artery now run into the lower 3, 7th, 8th, and 9th intercostal space. Then it pierces the diaphragm. What are the branches? That is a pericardiophrenik arteries that supply the pericardium, mediastinal branches which supply the connective tissue and thymus and front of the pericardium, anterior intercostal artery, 2 on each side of the upper 6 intercostal spaces, perforating artery, here 2nd, 3rd, and 4th intercostal space. The perforating artery of 2nd, 3rd, and 4th intercostal spaces are large to supply the breast in females. Superior epigastric artery, as we discussed, it runs downward behind the 7th costal cartilage, then between the sternal and the costal slip of the diaphragm, it enter into the rectus sheath. where it anastomoses with the inferior epigastric artery. And musculophrenic artery, it runs downward and laterally behind the 7th, 8th and 9th costal cartilage and give two anterior intercostal artery to each of the 7th, 8th and 9th intercostal space. Then it pierces the diaphragm near the 9th costal cartilage. So this is about the internal thoracic artery. The internal thoracic artery, mostly on of the left side, it also prefer over the graft to use the treat the coronary heart disease. When the segment of coronary artery is blocked by the atherosclerosis, the arterial segment is used for bypass. Recently, it has been found mostly they are using great saphenous vein but also use left internal thoracic artery. Recently, it has been found that internal mammary artery are less prone to develop atherosclerosis because of their histological peculiarity. The wall of these arteries contain only elastic tissue first, and cell of their endothelial lining secrete such chemical which prevent atherosclerosis. So the left internal mammary artery used for the coronary artery disease for bypassing as a graft, and left internal thoracic artery prefer because it is easier to assess it. So this is about the thoracic wall.